So, it's arguably the most important podcast of the year. For some people it is anyway. For me, it's the one that I've put the most planning into. Even more so than last year, I would like to say. Yeah. This podcast is going to be a long one. It's also going to be split up into individual parts as well. So if people don't want to digest the whole thing, you can just go and skip to the certain specific parts that you need to get to. I'll put timestamps down in the description below if you also want to skip to a certain section in the whole grand scheme of things. Yeah, but there are a few things that you might want to hear first before you skip ahead, just because it might help with some context. So we are unofficially doing our own unofficial awards. I still haven't come up with a name for this. I asked people and it just doesn't seem right. People called it like the Chazza Awards. It's not an official thing. I mean, it is, but it's not. You know, it isn't an Arias, it isn't a Mobos, it isn't a Brits, Grammys, etc., etc. It's none of that. This is just something that is voted for by the people. People get to compare my top 5 list from each category compared to what the public voted. Now, when we say the public, we're obviously speaking about fans of the scene, and of course we have to also keep in mind they're going to be specific to my channel. So if I say that I really like an artist, that might favor that artist just a little bit more because I'm a fan of them. Does that make sense? Same way that if somebody else who does reactions reacts to a whole different set of music and they was to host exactly the same thing, I'm sure their answers would be slightly different, or their results would be slightly different, just because, well, that's fans of their channel. So we've got to keep that in mind. This is down to a select amount of people. The amount of people that voted in this were 2,394 people responded, with 3 votes on each category. So nearly 2,400 people. All right, 2,400 people voted on this, basically. That's what we're going off. All right, so it isn't the whole scene. But yeah, we have 6 categories here, the same categories as last year. I was going to add a couple more, but just I didn't feel comfortable in hosting that and doing that correctly. So I've just kept it to the 6 that I know that are going to be very clear, that are going to just be quite self-explanatory for the most part. This is based on nothing in particular. So it's not about views or how good a project was or their ability or their growth. It could be a culmination is that word? A culmination of all of those things together. It can be a mix of everything. So I think that covers pretty much everything. The only other thing I am going to mention before we get into it is I put out a question on YouTube and on Instagram asking if the Kid Leroy should be a part of this. The Kid Leroy is not going to be a part of any of these nominations. Now, despite him being Aussie, despite his name actually deriving from Aboriginal culture, and him openly representing Australia. He said that he wants to put on for the 27, etc., etc. He is living in America. He has all had American features. His market at the moment is in the US. I was very torn about whether to add him in this year or not. Last year we put him in the hottest prospect list, but that was before I knew he was really going to go do his thing out in the US the way he has done this year, which, by the way, Leroy has smashed it out there. Let's just make this very clear. If he was a part of this, these lists would be very, very different. They just would be. All right. He would trump quite a few of these categories, in my opinion. But yeah, I put it out to the public and it was like 60% said no, don't include him. 40% said yes. So I'm not going to include him. I know he has the feature with 1-4, and we will acknowledge that and we will recognize that, but I don't think he's done enough in Australia to be considered a part of that. Does that make sense? Same way, like, I put out music, but that doesn't mean that I'm a part of any Australian scene yet in terms of music. I have Aussie features, and you could argue I'm more a part of Australia than I am UK, but yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. So I think we've done enough talking for now. We are nearly 5 minutes in. So yeah, that's a good point, I think, to get going in with our first one. So let's get into our first category here. We're going to go with Best Music Video of the Year. Now, I think that the criteria that I've judged my list off of versus what other people may have judged theirs off may be different. Obviously, you could look at a video and think it's amazing because of its cultural relevance, how memorable it was, maybe just how good the song was, right? Now, we've not got to confuse with how good a song is to how good the video is, because there's a couple of videos in my list that may not be, like, they're good songs, innit? They may not be the best songs that we've heard all year. They're not top 5 tracks I've heard all year, but it's the video that I'm focusing on. All right, that's something that we've really got to focus in on for a moment, because I think some people may have picked their list based on the 3 songs that come to mind first. I may have picked videos based on, like, okay, this person's filmed this and look what they've done with the editing. Look how they've shot it. How creative have they got? Like, we're looking at things like that. So you could say the video is the best video of the year because of how important it was to that artist and how monumental it was and its culture changing. Or you might look at it and be like, look, he shot it on an iPhone, but look how mad my man went in After Effects. There's a difference. Like, is it a good video just because it's high quality equipment? Or can you shoot a video off of an iPhone and it be a one take and it be a better video than the one that had a massive production company? That's something I'm going to leave people to debate, because speaking to a couple of videographers, I've heard a split of opinions. I've heard some people say, well, yeah, if they've invested in that equipment and they're using it right, that should be recognized. And I've heard other people say, well, why can't a video filmed off of a GoPro be like the best thing all year? I kind of see where both are coming from. So mine is leaning slightly more on the side of how well it is filmed and the editing techniques versus just the quality of their camera, despite obviously everything in this list having high quality cameras and it just all looking fucking great. Like, let's just make it clear, if you can have both, that's probably what's going to top the list. So for my list, that's what it feels like. So yeah, let's get into number 5. We've got 1-4 featuring Dutch Valley and Carnage, Better, which was directed by Maddie King. Now I'm presuming Maddie King is a she. I apologize if not. But they have worked with 1-4 quite closely this year from what I can see. Has worked with 1-4 most of their videos. Seems like another good addition to the team that's there, reliable, etc, etc. And Maddie King has really produced some high quality videos for 1-4. Like, obviously, we're going to get into the whole 1-4 discussion soon, and I want to focus more on the video aspects and their visuals. But, like, let's look at their visuals this year. They've had some crazy ones, and in my opinion, Better is their best one. Home and Away wasn't on the nominations list, but Home and Away is quite iconic. It's more memorable. If I think of a 1-4 video, the 2 videos I think of is Home and Away and The Message. They're the 2 videos that I picture before anything else. But I feel like Better is just a better, sorry for a lack of better words, fuck's sake. Like, you know, I just feel like the way it was put together is just mad. Like, yeah, they've blown out the budget or whatever for it as well, hiring the cars, they've got the dancers, you know, but just looking at the difference and the variety in their shots, it's not just one location. They've done the black and white shot, which fits in with the theme of the album cover or the EP cover. They've got the scene on the runway with those warm colors and like just that exotic feel, but these men are just burning, like it just. Then you've got obviously like the dragon little transition effect, which I don't know, when I first seen it I was a bit like, I don't know how I feel about it, but as time's gone, I don't know, I remember it now, and it just fits in well with the video. Like, then obviously I'm not too focused on Dutch's part of the video because that's obviously his team in the UK here, but it fit in well with the video. It fit in perfectly fine. Obviously they've got the aeroplane runway kind of theme going on there. I like the casino shots. I just feel like the visuals match the energy of the song so well, and I feel like that was really well captured by Maddie King, edited really well. Just, it's a great video in my opinion. Number 4 on my list, I've got Nerve and Just a Gent, Tulips. I'm gonna say Tulips. Yeah, directed by Zach Harris. I thought it was directed by Carl Golly at first, but no, it's directed by Zach Harris. who, again, someone I'm not too familiar with. But definitely, they put together a movie here, man. Like, an absolute movie with this one. And this is an example of, like, I like Nerve's song Tulips. I like the song. But I'm focusing on the video here. It's not like Nerve's best song of the year. But the video is mad. The video is mad. Like, we've got plausible enough acting. Like, sometimes when artists do the acting in the music video, it's a bit meh. But it is what it is, and it's the boys just trying to create a narrative for their track. Here is genuinely, like, good. Like, the way that the actors and actresses deliver their lines is very well done. I really love the cameo from Scotty Minster. I feel like he plays his role really well. I feel like the way it's shot and put together is quite clear. The way the ending comes together is all, like, the reveal at the end is relatively, like, quite clear. I know first time watching for I was a bit like, huh? But no, it's quite clear how he just finessed the whole thing. And even down to the shots that we have during the actual music video itself, like the makeup that is done when Nerve's getting beaten, like, just like everything is just so well put together, and it's a good example of what happens when you meticulously plan something. Like, you carefully plan something and then execute it that exact way. Like, I just feel like it's just such a well put together video, in my opinion. Third on my list, I have On The Gang's J6 Doubted Us. Now, OTG, On The Gang, they've had some really good videos this year. Like, really good videos. If I was to go pick at a bunch, I'm going to go with Doubted Us. Hold It Down was a very close second. And I nearly got that nominated as well. The same way Nerve got 2 nominations. I nearly did a double nomination for Triple One, and I nearly did a double nomination for On The Gang. But yeah, Doubted Us it's a good video. And again, they don't do nothing revolutionary with the video in some ways, but just everything is like, whoa, that's a cold shot. And then when they flip to a new scene, it's like, yo, that's a cold shot. Like, there's nothing weak in the visuals. Like, yes, they've got the high quality cameras, they've got a couple smoke machines, they've got the boys on the bikes and the ATVs and this and that, but like, just the way it's color graded, the lighting that is captured, the mood that it brings, like, they just, like, yeah, every shot just hits hard, man. Like, every shot you could take a screenshot and it's like a fucking wallpaper, innit? You know what I mean? Like, that's how you know you've made a very cinematic music video, when you can just pause at any moment and it's like, yo, that looks cold, that looks like art. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. I feel like videography isn't art. It is art. It is capturing another essence of art. Like, music is art, videography is art. And so if the videography is able to capture the music side and art comes together, I think that's sick. And again, this is another example of Doubted Us isn't in my top 10 songs of the year. It's a good track. It's not the best, but the video is a madness. So yeah, shout out to Stephen Garrett, who directed that one, who works quite closely with OTG. Stephen Garrett, yeah, man, like, he fucking flexed. He did his thing on this. Absolutely did his thing on this one. And yeah, so that's 3 directors now that we've had from 3 to 5 that I've not been aware of before, to my knowledge. Maybe I have seen their content and just didn't know it was them, kind of thing, never looked into them. But 3 names that I want people to keep an eye out for, you know, because, you know, they've all done their thing. Stephen Garrett, Zach Harris, Maddie King, all 3 of these people have absolutely smashed some of these videos this year, in my opinion. Number 2 on the list, which number 1 and 2, I'm torn which way round it should go. I'm very torn about which way round this should go. And if you ask me tomorrow, I feel like it's going to change, because I did change this round. So number 2 was my number 1 on first initial thoughts, and I did change it around last moment. But I am going to go with number 2 being Triple One, Love Rose. Love Rose is such a beautiful video. Like, such a beautiful video. Another video where you can pause at any moment, and it's photography. Like, videography and photography skills are very different. I know people that are sick photographers, can't film a video for shit. I know people that are the opposite way round, yeah? But when your videography is photography also, that's madness. You know, like that. Martin Guilfoyle, Marty of Triple One, I didn't actually know that last year. Didn't know that halfway during this year, but now we do know. Marty was actually a member in Triple One. Directed this alongside Tyson Perkins. These two, whatever they've come up with, whatever they've decided works. That doesn't even make sense, but we're rolling with it because, listen, if we're looking at editing, they've not had to do anything crazy. But if we're looking about how they can flip a location and how they can find good looking scenes, this video is mad. Like, that video makes me want to go and visit that place. And the way that they've used it, they've not just stood in front of something nice and just gone, yeah, here's us performing. They have then done abstract shit like Dijon's walking around with a fucking horse in a robe holding a torch. What does that even mean? But it looks sick. Obi has decided to submerge himself in what looks like ice water. Again, an absolute madman. I think he's a little bit more strange for having old women touch him up in the not Selena video, Sunshine video. But yeah, for him to do that, dedication. I like the whole imagery with the people in the ghillie suits with the white masks on. I think it's sick what Marty does. Like, just everything, just yeah, you know what I mean? It just, yeah. And that leaves my number one, again, who was my initial number two, but then when I just look back at it, if we look at how a video is edited, if we look at how particularly everything is planned and then executed, if we look at how the video embodies everything that the song is and captures the personality of the artist, in my opinion, it's Nerve. With Reese, I stumbled on that bit. It's got to be Nerve, Reese's Pieces, directed by Kyle Golly. Nerve, we're gonna have a discussion with Nerve when we get to Act of the Year, innit? But like, when we're talking about everything this man is doing is just gold. That includes his visuals as well, because there's ones that aren't on this list that are great fucking videos. Like Hopscotch is a great video in my opinion. Even onto shit like Walk and Talk Free. I know that's simple innit, but it's a good video. We look at what he did for Migraines. Another great video that I didn't check till after the nominations. It probably wouldn't have made my nomination list anyway, but another example of a good video. But Reese's Pieces, oh my god. Do you want to know how to put like a colourful, poppy, punchy video together? I don't even know if they're correct adjectives to describe a video, but that's what we're doing. That's how good this video is. I'm not even using grammarish correctly. English is out the window. Pull up your socks. This is a bop. Only Nerve can manage to promote his, not only Nerve, but he's managed to promote his merch in the song and then have that represented with the visuals. Like, these man just had fun doing this video, innit? They just did. Kyle Golly's editing, the way he's directed this, it's just an absolute madness. I don't know, like, because you can see that they've not just done random shots. They've had to sit down and probably do a storyboard of some sort. Like, and then for them to go and execute it the way they have, I feel like it probably looks better than they even imagine themselves. I don't know. Maybe I have a bit of favoritism because I really like Nerve as an artist and I really like the song. But fuck me, man. How did, like, well, I'm going to have a big rant in a moment because I'm probably going to come back to Reese's Pieces when we get to your list, innit? Which might be a little bit of a spoiler, but Reese's Pieces is top 2 videos of the year along with Triple One's Love Rose. If I could put them side by side as best videos, they would. Because they are there for different reasons. And that goes back to what I was talking about at the start in terms of you can have a video that is just beautiful and I will never forget it. And that's what Triple One's Love Rose is. Or you can have a video like Nerve's Reese's Pieces that is just so well put together, from how it's planned to how it's edited. And they're two different criteria for why I like them, and that's why they're kind of just joint first in a way. But today I feel like saying Nerves Reese's Pieces. So Kyle Golly, congrats, man. Like, congrats to the whole team that was a part of that. Which, by the way, can we just mention this before we get into your list? It's not just the directors, innit? This is like the people who work on lighting, the people who run as, what's the term, grips, people who, you know what I mean, just bare shit. I can't think of the terms right now, but you know what I mean. Like, everyone that is a part of these video shoots, everyone that's a part of the team deserves credit. You know what I mean? So if I've mentioned the directors, I mention them because they're the head of the video, but they've got a team around them that also helps. And people like Crazy help me realize this, you know? It's not just about, well, he's the person holding the camera, so he's the one who's done all the work. No, it takes a team of people around them to do it as well. It also, for most videos, the artist themselves also has a say in the direction of the video. They're the one who probably projects the idea across in the first place, but then for a director to then take that and turn it into what that artist is thinking, that's the true skill. Or whether it's the editor, or whether it's the person who needs to capture that lighting in a certain correct way. You get what I'm saying? So it's never just one person when it comes to most video shoots. Like, for me, I don't have a budget. When I do videos, it's filmed by my boy, it's edited by me and my boy, you know, like that. For other people who have these teams though, that's a skill in itself. Some people may think, oh well, they have a really high budget and they have a great team around them, so of course their video is going to look great. That doesn't mean it's easy to do. Sometimes that's more difficult. Sometimes it can be a case of too many chefs in one kitchen. And so for them to all play their role and all add their own spice and ingredient to then make this dish at the end is mad. Get what I'm saying? So we've got to give homage to everyone that's a part of these videos, man. And with that being said, let's have a little discussion about your list. Because they're nominated for a reason, innit? Like, these videos have been nominated and they are here for good reason. But I can't help but feel people have just voted based on a popularity contest. Now, this is not me to say like these videos don't deserve to be here, because of course they deserve to be in the discussion. But just, let's put it like this. I've only picked one video that is the same as your list. That's the bit that gets me more than anything. So just to be clear, for the ones who may not know, the people who may not have voted, or people who are watching this in the future, people got to vote for 3 picks, and it just counts as one equal vote. And obviously then I take the 5 most popular out of what everyone voted, and we go from there. And out of nearly 2,400 people have voted at number 5 to be Enemies No Reason, directed by Carlin Leota. Enemies No Reason. I love Enemies No Reason. I love it as a track. I said at the start of the year when I first reacted to it, this is going to be top 3 tracks of the year. I'm sitting here now at the end of the year and saying it's a comfortable top 10. Maybe top 5, but we'll say top 10 to be safe. I think it's maybe around that 6th or 7th place, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, music this year has been really good, can't lie, really good. But yeah, Enemies No Reason is a great video. And I spoke to Enemy about this on the podcast. I spoke to them about the filming process, and at first I thought they were filming separately individual shots because of COVID, but it was actually just because that's the direction they wanted to go in. Again, they've not gone with no mad location. Even down to the editing isn't crazy either, but just, it works, you know, like that. Like, it just works. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it's a really good video. It didn't make my top 5 because that's the problem I think it has. It doesn't have nothing that stands out either. It's just a really well put together video. And so I understand why it made people's list, though, and I'm not mad at it making people's lists, but I'm mad that 1 or 2 of my picks didn't get above it. If I'm being fair, respectfully, I just feel like a couple of my picks just deserve to be above it, but we'll come back to it in a moment, and I'll get onto that rant. Number 4 on the list is Chillin' It featuring Lacey Stanford, directed by John Baxter. Obviously, Chilling It and Lisi filming separately. Lisi filming in Goodna, Chilling It filming in somewhere in Sydney. Is it Hurstville? I could be so wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong. I don't know where Chill's staying at the moment anyway. That man's probably just about doing whatever. Yeah, it's Hurstville. It is, because it shows in the fucking video itself. But yeah, another similar to Enemies No Reason. It's a really well done video, especially because they've shot separately and they've managed to keep a consistent theme. Again, there's no crazy location. The editing's nice. The editing's, I'd say, a step up from Enemies No Reason. But again, it's not in mad techie. Like, it's all performance shots in it. And then obviously they've got B-roll and they've put a couple nice filters over the top and thrown it together. And again, it's a great video. There's a reason why it's nominated. Just personally, I can't see it being picked over one or two of my ones that have not been picked. Speaking of which, we go into number 3, another one that I did not pick, but was probably the closest to being in. Hooligan Hefts featuring Massey Rook, Hooligan Skinny, and Hooks Fame. Standing for Fuck All My Enemies. Directed by Creasy. First off, shout out to Crazy Vision and the team. Every single time I will shout out that team because they always smash it. Fame is a very important song for Hefts. A very important song. And the visuals are cold. Like, if I'm looking at 1-4's better, Fame is the one that could sneak into my list. It is. It's the one that was kind of my 6th place, if anything. And I could argue joint 5th. I think the reason it missed out is that Better just... I feel like it just flipped locations that tiny bit better. Like, there was more variety in locations. Whereas Fame had all the ingredients that Better had. But and you could argue that's why it's better, because it kept more of a consistent theme. And this is why I'm like, tomorrow I could have swapped them round. I very easily could have. I think it looks dope though. I like the whole dark theme they go with. I like the Grim Reaper shit that they do. I like the side-on profile shots. Like, there's a lot of shit that I like from this video, and I think it's a great song. And obviously the reaction I did to it at the start of the year was pretty big for me, and pretty iconic for a lot of people. But yeah, it's a great video, and it's one that I'm not mad at being in the top 5 list. I'm not mad at it being in the top 5 list in any way, shape, or form. Just gonna move my list over there because I feel like it's gonna look better. Yeah, for the people, this is the first one that does cross over. This is the first pick that is in your list that was also in mine, and that is 1-4's Better. Now, here's the problem I have with it. I believe it deserves to be in the top 5 discussion. There's a reason I've put it in mine. But I feel like number 2 is a bit too high. I feel like that's too high. I feel like there's better videos than 1-4's Better this year. In my opinion. In my humble opinion. That's what I think. I think people are picking it because of a popularity contest. And I think that's the problem that 1-4 is going to have. 1-4 deserves to be at the top of a lot of discussions. They even deserve to be in a discussion for best video of the year. They've had 2 nominations. But it's not better than 1 or 2 of the picks I've had. It's not. It's not. It's not better than Reese's Pieces or Triple One's Love Rose, which, by the way, spoiler, is not number 1 on your list either. And that's where I'm going to come back to the other few. Better, Fame, stand for No Reason. The 4 that are 2nd to 5th in your public grown list is not better than Nerves, Reese's Pieces, or Triple One's Love Rose. It's not. Now, obviously, more people know 1-4's Better than they do Triple One's Love Rose. They probably know it just as much and more than Nerves, Reese's Pieces. And that's the problem that I feel like we have with this, is that people have picked it because they like the song and because they know 1-4, and it's because they don't know about Thing. Maybe that's my fault for not doing a nominations video thing where people could have watched the videos, and I did a short social media post, but obviously it's small. Like, maybe that's my fault, innit? But I feel like people need to just clue themselves up because it's not better. I keep using it as a pun. not intentionally, but it's just not. It's a good video. It's an amazing video. It's a sick video, but it's not better than Nerves, Reese's Pieces, or Triple One's Love Rolls. It's not. And we're going to number 1 of your list. And now this is the one that I'm not mad at it being number 1 in a lot of ways, though. And this is where I'm weird. This is where I'm a fucking weirdo. Because it being number 1 in your list, I get it and I understand it. And I, in some ways, agree with it. But it didn't even make my top 5. Is that weird? And so we get into number 1 on your list. And it's 1/4's Welcome to Prison, directed by 1/4 themselves. Nah. What are we doing here, people? Because I'm not mad at it being number 1 in your list. I'm really not. But at the same time, I am. But I'm not. If we talk about a video that is visually important to a group's or artist's catalogue, it's got to be like top 2. That and the message, obviously. The message was just monumental and it's something that is rooted in history and we can't really change that. But Welcome to Prison is a big turning point in 1/4's career path. A big turning point. And I feel like that's really well captured in the visuals itself. And for that reason, that's why I'm not mad at it being number 1. But if we look at it as an actual video, it's a nice video. And again, it's in this list because of the cultural impact and because of the message that it conveys. It's not there because of editing or how it's filmed or anything like that. There's nothing crazy that they actually do visually in that way. It's the imagery that they capture. And that's why I'm so torn, because the physical side of me says like, no, this video ain't nothing special, but the sentimental and the how do I explain it, like the emotional side of me agrees with it being number 1. But if we're gonna put it physically side by side on mute, next with no context, next to Reese's Pieces, Love Rose, and Welcome to Prison, it's not topping the other 2. But with the understanding of what that video means and to what the song means as well, it probably does deserve to be in that top 5, if not number 1. So I don't know how I feel about that. That it confuses me in a lot of ways. It really does. It throws me off in so many ways. So yeah, the only one pick that crossed over was 1/4's better to mine as well, and otherwise none of the others make the list. And I just feel like maybe I've picked the videos that are obviously I'm gonna say this, the videos that are better but they're lesser known songs, whereas people have picked the more popular songs itself. I don't know. There's obviously going to be individuals that have picked a similar list to me that will agree with me, and then there's going to be people who pick the obvious ones. I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comment section about best music video of the year. Because, yeah, I don't know. I'm not mad at it, though. Although I have my gripe, although I have my personal opinion, I'm not mad at it. Okay, so let's go on to Director of the Year. Now, obviously, in Music Video of the Year, we talked about how a director is, you know, the person who spearheads everything that goes on for the video. But oftentimes there are people that are also doing other jobs. And so as much as we are going to give praise to the director, it's also about the team that is around them as well. Can we please acknowledge that? Like, although we're going to say specific names, there's also going to be the people that are a part of their team. So if you are a part of any of the people's teams that were nominated, and if you make this top 5 list and discussion, then please feel like you're acknowledged as well, even if we don't give out every single name behind that team. Coming in with number 5, I'm going to go with Maxed Out Films. Maxed Out Films has been doing their thing for a minute. You know what I mean? Like that, like CG Fez, Capulets video, which was big. That was a big video. Section 60 and a few others, you know what I mean? Like, Maxed Out Films has done their thing. Like, I'm going to keep this one moving pretty quick for Director of the Year, because it's something where we could talk about every single video that they've done. And, you know, it's going to be tough if I try and take the best videos from each director and try and compare them. Other people can do that. I've not done that. I've based it on work rate. I'm basing this off of kind of how important those videos go on to be, which I know is massively affected by the song, because obviously you can have an amazing video and a shit song, but we're just looking at who's really been out here doing their thing at a good quality, high quality and quantity, basically. That's what I'm looking at. Number 4, I'm going with Maddie King for everything that they've done with 1-4. At the end of the day, big important videos in a big important year for 1-4 themselves. So yeah, gotta be recognized. Number 3 on my list is Creasy Visions. Creasy got number 1 last year. Creasy's continued to do his thing this year. Just has done. Like, continue to do it at a high quality, at a high quantity. Has worked with God knows who this year. Hooks, Day Ones, did the Rover remix, which was massive, by the way. Hooligan Skinny, Hooligan Hef, Standard, like, and more. As always with Creasy and more. And what I like about Creasy works with these smaller independent artists as well, and actually puts me onto a few artists. There's a couple of artists that I've never heard of that only get a few hundred views or a couple thousand views, but does a sick video for them, and I'm like, yo, that's a cold artist as well. So yeah, man, Creasy and the whole team, like, they don't just do the music videos, they do the commercial stuff as well. They, you know, they're really branching out. It's more than just drill videos, you know, like that. Like, they're really out here as a brand. Just volume of content is crazy. Number 2 on my list is Martin Guilfoyle, aka Marty from 111. If we just look at 111's videos this year, don't at me. Like, I know they've had help with Tyson Perkins and a couple of other people, I understand this, but if Marty's the one who's been credited with being director, let's give him the flowers now. If you want to have a lesson in what an abstract music video should look like, or what a fun music video should look like, go and watch anything from 111 this year. Just go and do it. Like, you've got Love Rose being on one end of the spectrum, and then you've got Sunshine being on the other. Like, it's just what, are you mad? And what I like about 111 and what I like about what Marty does with them is that they try different shit. They don't care about no tough image, you know what I mean? Like, they've done some weird shit in their videos, but I'll remember it because of it. And I like the fact that they're not afraid to try new things, and I like the fact that they're not just stuck in a box, and I like the fact that they are pushing boundaries, you know? I really respect that. Now, I understand not everyone knows about 111, and that's probably why he's not gonna be voted by many people, but we have to recognize good talent where it's due. And then number 1 on my list for creating some of my favorite videos of this year, Kyle Golly. Kyle Golly doing Kyle Golly things. Golly made my top 5 list last year. Golly actually edited my Tom and Jerry video as well. No One Network, just as a team and as a group. No, do we do that speech now or no? We'll do that speech when we get to Nerve. But, and it's not just Nerve, like Greeley, Lauren, Scrub, like, he's just that whole team and just everything that Golly's able to do. I've heard nothing but positive things spoken about that man. He even gave himself a cameo in the Tulips video, like, just and again, maybe we need a videographer or a director to speak about what he does that is so amazing in it, because I'm not a cameraman, I'm not someone who can speak on behalf of every little detail and technique he does, because it's shit that I can't do and that I don't understand for the most part. But what I can tell you is that you look at the comment sections of any of the videos he's directed, they're talking about how good the video is. And he makes a song that may sonically sound a 7 out of 10 and he takes it up to an 8.5 because the video is sick. Like, that's a whole different level of power. And that's what all of these directors have done in my list. You know, they have taken songs that are average, good, great, or amazing and have just bumped them up to the next tier. Are you telling me that 1-4's success is the same without some of the videos that they've had? Yeah, I think they'd have success, but I don't think it'll be at the same level. Don't think it'll be as memorable. If we look at what Hooligan Hefs does with Fame, yeah, it's a sick video, but if that was just a straight freestyle of them in just a warehouse, all 4 of them with a smoke machine, is that the same as them doing the visuals that they did for it? If 111 go and do Selena, is that the same track without the crazy, just mad visuals that they have? Get what I'm saying? Do the likes of Capulets and do the likes of CG Fez grow as much as they have without the amazing visuals that they've had by Maxed Out? Does Nerve get the credit he deserves without those videos? And that's what I'm saying. Like, music videos do take songs to the next levels. You see artists that drop the audio version of tracks versus when they drop the official music video. The official music video always gets more views. And so when it gets more views, how many of them are going to come back? Sometimes I come back to some of these directors' work because of the video, not even the song. Like, the song's, again, good, but now it's a great video, and it's why I want to go back to it, because the visuals are so pleasing to look at. This comes from someone who ain't a music video man. Like, I'm happy to just listen to an album on Spotify with no visuals. But once I've seen visuals, if I like them, I will go back to watch those visuals again. And so for someone who isn't into film and cinematography as much as some other people, for me to then appreciate that art that I don't understand means you must be doing something right. And so then we get into your list. And I'm pretty happy with the list that you lot have collectively come up with. Number 5 is Carl Golly. I think he should be higher, but he's in that list, so I'm going to just take a step back there. Number 4, I said Jean last year. I think it's JN or JN Collective. That's what we're going to go with this year. Next year, we'll call him John. Fuck it. There's no rules. But the JN Collective, again, just doing a madness. HP Boys, Day One, a few other people as well, doing their thing. Was in the discussion last year, deserve to be here this year also. Number 3 on the list, 888 Films. 888 Films have just the work rate that they have put out this year is incredible. Cheeky, Mac 11, the 046, just everything that has been done on BHQ Records. Like, they've been a part of a lot of Islander artists come up, you know? Like, they've been integral to pushing a culture forward. So they didn't make my list for, you know, how good their videos are, because their videos are always professional. Let's make that very, very clear. They're always professional. They don't do nothing crazy with their visuals. But if we're looking at output, their output has been top notch. So to put out that with a solid quality each and every time, it's got to be recognized. Number 2 on the list is Maxed Out Films, who didn't make it that high on my list, but I'm not even that mad at them being there, because they have made some very, very good videos. So I'm not even mad at them being number 2, to be honest. And then number 1 being Creasy Visions, who, again, might be there because of a little bit of popularity, again, especially amongst my channel, me doing the podcast with them, giving them number 1 spot last year. Like, I understand why people have put them there. I think Carl Golly and Martin Guilfoyle did a little bit more, but I'm not mad. So for the directors list, I'm actually quite happy with what you lot have come up with as well. Now, let's mention something about Director of the Year, because when I did this was the one that people were most vocal about. Like, yo, how is this person not here? Yo, how is that collective not here? Yo, how is this brand not here? There's a lot of people that I have missed out on. And to be honest with you, there are some that may have even taken place in this top 10 amongst other nominations if I knew about them directing certain videos. Remember, I've gone through all of the videos that I have reacted to this year and all the videos that I have checked out, but there is more than just what I have checked out. As much as people see me as the guy for Australia, there's still more music than I'm checking out that I miss. And, you know, that might mean their videos get overlooked. I got a little bit of help with the nominations list, but I haven't asked everyone. And when I put this out, there was a lot of vocal people saying, well, how hasn't this person ended up here? How hasn't this person ended up in that discussion? So if you feel like somebody was snubbed just outright and it is criminal, feel free to comment in the comment section below, like, who should have been in this nominations list and would they have made your top 5 if so? Because some people may have made the nominations list, but then it's like, all right, they deserve to be in that discussion, but they didn't actually break into anything higher than that. Can I also shout out Ruffs, Pops Visuals, Skylake Media, and Aaron Ball that have all done their thing, man. Have all, like, they're a reason why they're in there, in my opinion. Aaron Ball actually was only 20 votes off from being 5th. Was only 20 off from Carl Golly, so was a close 6th place, you know. And again, if Aaron Ball made that list, I wouldn't be mad. I would be mad if Carl Golly didn't make the list, though. So ultimately, I do think it was for the best. But yeah, shout out to everyone that was a part of this list, man. Visuals are really stepping up in Australia, and I want to see more of it. Like, Professional performance shots are great, and I want people to have those, especially the ones who don't have the budget for it. But at a top level now, I want to see more and more creativity. I want to see more and more shit like Martin Guilfoyle and Carl Golly. I want to see more shit from directors like those. So if you want to take tips, I want to see the work rate of a Maxed Out Films and the Crazy Visions. I want to see how you can capture in cultural relevance with like Maddie King, and I want people to get the creativity like the other guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? So please don't sleep on visuals, man. When we see a good video, please comment on that video and say, yo, just even if you say, look, the video just looks sick, just please show love to these directors and videographers, because they deserve it so much. Next, we go into producer of the year. The Australian scene is continuing to diversify itself. It's continuing to push sound barriers and break that kind of stereotype among certain genres. You know, the more traditional sounds that you would hear from the UK or the US are now being slowly turned and is, you know, forming more of its own identity, you know. And I think a big part of that obviously has to be down to the producers. There are some producers that may be more technically skilled than others. Again, similar to director of the year, there's just certain shit, like if we was to go through everything that a producer did and try and compare it to each other, it would be near impossible. So this is me taking a look at a glance and just being like, yo, that song was a banger. Yo, that song slapped. Yo, how many people have they produced for? Look at the names on that list. This is probably my most ignorant list in terms of the one that I've done the least research into. I have messaged most of these producers and asked for them to give me more context on what they have done this year. Most responded and was able to help. I have gone through as much music as I can and found as much content that these guys have done, and even then I feel like there's some that we're missing out on, and then for me to go and listen to all of that would have taken a very long time. So if you're a producer and you're a bit more knowledgeable in this field, feel free to comment down below your opinions, because I feel like it would be greatly appreciated. But this one, yeah, let's just go with it. Number 5 on the list is Nerve. Nerve produces for himself, he mixes and masters himself, he engineers himself, and it fucking works. You know what I mean? Like, everything. Oh man, tell me a Nerve beat this year that didn't sound different. Tell me a Nerve beat that sounded generic. Tell me a Nerve beat in 2020 that sounded plain. Nerve puts his personality into his production, sometimes even more than his actual lyrics and delivery. Like, even down to the social media shit, like, that ain't even full songs that he does. Like, follow Nerve on Instagram, yeah? And you'll just see him post random shit that he's producing that's just never released. And I swear it's harder than half of the shit I hear from the scene. So yeah, man, gotta give flowers to Nerve. Number 4 on the list is Open Till Late. Open Till Late has done some big ones this year. Producing on Curse's album, which was so early on in the year, I almost forgot about that. Producing some big hits for Brothers, was doing shit for Hefts, Day Ones, Young and Lips. Like, come on, look at that list. Are you mad? Open Till Late was on my list last year and deserves to be there again on this list this year. Like, Open Till Late, once again, round of a fucking applause. And you know what? Open Till Late doesn't just do one sound either. He's always mixing up and doing different shit, and that's what I like to see. Number 3 on my list is a name that I didn't actually know until doing my research for this video, I'll be honest with you. But then looking at what they've done, oh my god, we have to give him props. Khalid Roheim, Roheim. I'm gonna go with Khalid Roheim, that sounds right. I apologize if I've said your name wrong, but we'll call him Khalid. Khalid has produced a lot for 1-4, has done shit for Spanian as well, but has also produced for Kid Laroi. And I know Kid Laroi is not part of this list, but come on, we've got to at least acknowledge it. But let's say even just for 1-4 and Spanian. Spanian this year has, some people have said he simplified his sound, which may be the case. But Khaled's just complemented that so well, and it's just laid the foundations for Spanian to make music that just just works for a bit of a wider audience, myself included within that. And then obviously producing shit for 1-4, which is just massive as always. Khaled deserves to be in this list. And actually speaking to a couple people and reading a couple messages and comments, a lot of people behind the scene voted for Khaled, which was quite interesting. So when I was making this list, he definitely had to get a nod for what he's done this year, and that is very similar to who I'm going with next. Number 2 on my list is Solo, but I kind of have to put an asterisk there because it's kind of Solo and Will. I Am Solo and Will Star. I have to put Will there as well because he's always credited alongside Solo, and sometimes when they're both labeled for being produced by or both labeled for mixing and mastering, I kind of have to include both in some ways. So this goes to Solo and Will. Solo and Will, what they have done with 1-4 alone this year is incredible. To be able to take verses that were spit over a phone from pen and then be able to engineer that into something that sounds studio quality on an EP, are you nuts? Let alone what they then produce. Oh my god. Have you heard the production on the Against All Odds EP? Listen, Solo and Will, I don't really need to go into detail in it, just go listen to all Against All Odds. Just go and listen to that EP and then come back, because on the live reaction I had to question whether that was actually recorded from prison or not. When Lex, Selly and YP did their interludes, I thought they recorded it before they went away. No, it was recorded over the phone, and then for them to be able to produce something and then put that, oh man, like they've literally used magic. They've done some juju shit, you know what I mean? Like man, it's different. It's different. And number 1 on my list goes to Culchi. Culchi feels like 1 in every 3 songs I react to, I feel like this man, his tag is at the start of the beat. Like Massey Rook, Blue Boy, Hefs. Shall I keep going? HP Boys, Cheeky. Shall I keep going? Mac 11, Sydney Young'uns. Shall I keep going? 046. And then more in the works. Like, this brother, I can't keep up with everything this brother has done. When we look at like everything from BHQ Records to what he's doing with the 6-7, like just, oh my god, just, oh man. And like I said, similar to Open Till Late, to be able to just diversify that sound and just do different shit as well. Like Solo and Will arguably go first because of what their talent physically holds, but Culchi's just, the work rate is unprecedented, and in my opinion goes top of the list because of that. Now I don't know if he just had a back catalogue of bare music and just reached out to everyone and people, and he has some sort of special price or something. Maybe that's just the case, innit? But if so, he's executed it right this year. He's done everything right. And so Culchi, oh my god, yeah, you've smashed it this year, smashed it. And so now let's have a look at your list. One that probably surprised me the most. No, it doesn't surprise me the most. And just for a bit of context, the votes on this list were fairly close for the most part. Very, very close for the most part. But yeah, number 5 on the list goes to Sammy Heat. Sammy Heat has done work with Pistol Pete, 046, Mac 11, Knox, Shelly 210, 21 District, Double 6, 96. Like, there's a lot of artists within there, and a lot of upcoming artists as well. So Sammy Heat deserves to be there. Again, if we're looking at someone who's put in a lot of work rate and has done that with a consistent quality to them, yeah, Sammy Heat deserves to be in that discussion. Loki is on this list too, because sometimes it will just say executive producer. But yeah, Young and Lips, J King, Pistol Pete, and Enzo. Like, there's you know, Loki has also produced some banging shit with Young and Lips. Like, Young and Lips has had a great year, no denying that. And Loki has been a big part of that production, and being able to diversify Young and Lips' sound. I like that. Number 3 on the list is Solo. And even though you man don't count it, I'm counting Will as part of that as well. Solo and Will be in that. It's impossible to not put them in your top 3 in my opinion. 3rd is the lowest I would have them. I don't accept anything lower than 3rd. I just don't. I don't. Number 2 on the list is Open Till Late, who I think is ranked I'm not mad at him being number 2, because again, if we look at the quality of his production, Open Till Late, yeah, you know what? Nah, Open Till Late deserves to be there. Does he? It's making me reconsider now. Should he be above Khaled on my list? Maybe they're interchangeable at 3rd and 4th. We'll keep it as it is for now. But yeah, Open Till Late, yeah, I'm actually happy with him being 2nd. And number 1, who I'm happy is there, but I don't know if he actually deserves to be number 1, and that's Nerve. I'm happy Nerve is, and I'm happy that Nerve's getting the recognition that he is getting, because Nerve's production slaps, and I've given you all the positives a moment ago. But for him to be 1st, something doesn't feel right about that. Maybe it's because he doesn't produce for a whole bunch of different people. If this was talent, oh, Nerve's gonna be top 3. Don't get me wrong, for the fact that he can produce him. He's a better rapper than most, and then he's a better producer than most. Like, if we compare that together, yeah, then I'm not mad at him being at number 1. But just as a sole producer, he's sick. But does he top some of these other ones? But I'm not mad at him. I'm so happy that he's 1st on your list, because I'm glad he's getting that recognition. I'm glad he's being acknowledged by people. But just something about 1st don't feel right either. But regardless, congrats, man, because in a lot of ways he deserves it. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about some of these things, yeah? It's like, you have a different list to me, but sometimes I don't want to be mad at it. I don't want to disagree, because if you're in this discussion, you're in this discussion for a reason, innit? Like, yeah, that's a tough one. But again, let me know who you would have in this list. Who missed out? Who was snubbed? Because this is another one similar to Director, where people were like, yo, how did this producer not make it? How did that producer not make it? And again, that might be my ignorance of not knowing what people have done this year. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Like, is there anyone who was just severely snubbed? Like, outright, it is criminal that they were not a part of the top 5, that they were not nominated. Is there somebody who I've missed out on due to my ignorance? Yeah, let me know if there's someone who comes to mind. And with that being said, these next 3 categories are going to be big. Alright, let's get into the next part. Let's go with Hottest Prospect. This list was hard to actually do the nominations for, to be honest with you, because there's so many artists that have come out this year just doing an absolute madness. There's a couple people on this list that aren't actually debuting this year, may have debuted last year or even previous years before, but like, this is really their breakthrough year, or like the first time that we've had more than one track from them. So when we say Hottest Prospect, this is like who is due to have a big year next year based on the current trajectory that they're on, which I know could also be then seen as like, oh, well, maybe 1-4 are the Hottest Prospects, because they've got like, no, it's kind of also like newcomer as well. It's kind of, this has only got to be their 1st or 2nd year of really hearing about them, like really hearing about them. Like, this is the year that they really broke through to a wider audience. And with that being said, number 5 on my list is Indigo Merkaba. Indigo, I so wanted to put higher up on this list, but the problem I have with him is I think he's more long-term than he is short-term. And that's not even necessarily a problem. I could argue that's actually a good thing. He is not someone who is going to blow up overnight because he made a banging track. It's not. But I think long-term, his contribution to Aussie hip-hop is going to be incredibly important. Incredibly important. Indigo is... his work rate is the highest on this list by far, in terms of he's put out like 3-4 projects this year. Like, and again, I know it's not always about quantity. Quality is obviously the thing that will shine through ultimately, but he has done it at a pretty decent quality also. Like, for him to just track after track, project after project, and EP just slap out music, like, there's a reason why this brother's going to be important. For him to get the nod and for him to get recognition by some of the biggest names in the scene, like, he must be doing something right. And I really like how he really broke through to a wider audience to start off with the tribute, which was paying tribute to previous and current MCs that have been doing their thing, and paying tribute to all of the people that have helped shape Aussie hip-hop. And I think he's spoken about his intent to be a part of that discussion in the near future, and I think he will be. I just don't think that 2021 is going to be the year where he all of a sudden breaks through. I think he's going to be one of those artists that just over time we just go, yo, my man's been putting out good music for time. That's the angle I think he's going to play, but I am more than happy to be proven wrong about him, and definitely needs recognition for how much hard work he's put in. Number 4 on my list is Cheeky. Cheeky is unrivaled confidence. Listen, Cheeky has so much potential. I can just see him being that guy that can just make good music. You know, like that. Like, I feel like he'd be a very good feature artist, although I haven't heard him feature with anyone yet. I can see him being a very, very good feature artist. I can see him being that guy that can tie everything together. It'll be interesting to see what route he goes down in terms of genres of music. I know he's into his R&B. I know he can also rap, but he is good at the whole Afro swing kind of tropical style. So it'll be interesting to see where Cheeky goes. I think he's going to have a big year next year. I genuinely think he is. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can bring. Third on my list is Amu the MC. Amu, I have so much respect for, man. And I only recently reacted to Pain Will Transfer. He was on my list before I even heard that song. But that song helped him bump up probably a place or two. Like, I just feel like he's going to be a guy that's going to follow a similar path to Lisi, in my opinion. I think Amu's going to have a big year next year. I also think he's going to have a big year next year. Lisi was like 4th on my list last year. And that was a howler, because he should have been 1. He should have been number 1 on that list, because the year he's had is incredible. But we're here to talk about Amu. Amu, I think, is going to do something similar. I think the message that he puts across is one that a lot of people want to hear. I feel like how he goes about that is then the important thing. He is a very talented MC. He has great presence. He has great lyricism. I like his cadence. There's a lot of positives that are going in his favor. I just think it's about him just then landing the right tracks, potentially even the right features for the right exposure. I feel like as long as Amu plays this smart, he can have a year as big as Lisi's one this year. Like Lisi's transition from 2019 to 2020, I can see it following a similar vein. Whether it be as big, maybe even bigger, I can see it following a similar vein. Definitely one to watch. Number 2 on my list, which is almost controversial within myself, but let me explain myself. Skem. Skem dropped 1 track last year with Time Will Tell, and this year he's only dropped like 2 or 3 tracks / features, like the Blood Brothers Part 2 feature with Husky and Trill. I don't think Skem is going to be the most popular artist in Australia, but I believe he's going to be a cult favorite. I honestly believe for the people who are into Husky, Little Snow, Trill, you know, that kind of vein of music, I can see Skem being very popular amongst that crowd. I think Skem isn't going to be the guy that's going to put out, like an Indigo Merkaba, he's not going to be putting out like 4 projects in a year. But what Skem will do is create gold nearly every time he touches the mic. I can see him only popping up 3 to 5 times next year, but I guarantee they're 3 or 5 gold moments. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean to put Skem down. Skem's openly talked about his work rate before, and I hope he's able to find his groove. I hope that whatever he's got going on in his personal life, he's able to sort out, because once Skem gets in a good headspace to then talk about his darker moments, I'm telling you now, Skem will be very important. The reason Skem's 2nd on my list is because I think he will make some of the most important music in terms of the kind of music that helps people, the kind of music that saves people. I think that's why Skem's so high up on my list, because although it will be a smaller following, I believe it will be one of the most important followings he can carry. Does that make sense? And I don't mean to put pressure on Skem. I just believe he has the ability to genuinely touch people the same way someone like Husky does. And I know he's a huge fan of Husky. So if we're, again, trying to follow paths, I can see him kind of going down that route in some way, shape, or form. But it'll be interesting to see what's going on with Skem. I hope Skem's doing well. And yeah, I honestly have a lot of faith in him. Number 1 on my list is a bit of a shot in the dark, but it's one that I so heavily believe in. CG 5's. CG 5's, in my opinion, just screams to me that he's gonna absolutely have a monumental year next year. I'm putting all my eggs in that basket. Like I said it about Amu, said it about Cheeky, I said it about Skem. I think CG 5's could potentially have a huge explosion next year. Something just about his aura, the way he carries himself, what he talks about in his music, I can just see him delivering an absolute madness. Now, 5's, I don't know if you're working on an EP or an album, but my odds are on you to have one of the best projects of 2021 if you get out a project next year. I just believe he has the potential to make a classic project. I genuinely do. And I know that may be a slightly unpopular opinion. Maybe it is a popular opinion. I don't know. I genuinely think that CG 5's can do an absolute madness. Now, let me give you a little small statistic here that might interest people. I've picked all of my list before I looked at the results of the vote. 5's wasn't voted in people's top 5. But it's the dark horse that I genuinely believe in. I'm looking at the results here. I genuinely think he's going to be the dark horse that can just really show off his talent. Like, let's look at his Take 1 and Take 2, Cold. The 430 track, Madness. What's the one that he did recently? Like When. Like, yeah, he's only put out 4 tracks this year, but my God, what? Like, look at those 4 tracks, man. They are incredible. So yeah, I want to see where 5's goes from here, because I genuinely believe he has the power to make history. Now let's get into your list. Number 5 on the list from the people is Nox 78. Nox has had a solid year. Nox has made some noise. I think Nox is going to be a guy that will do numbers. He's had a mix of songs this year, you know, breaking into the tens of thousands or the hundreds of thousands. I can see him next year being that guy that's just hundreds of thousands on every track across the board. I'm not mad at him being number 5. I feel like he's going to be able to deliver something good. You know, I think he's going to need a couple of features to help him along the way, to help him gain that exposure. But I'm happy with what he's doing, and I'm not mad at him being number 5. Number 4 on the list is Shelly 210. Shelly is someone who I've enjoyed. Not as much as some other people, but I have enjoyed. But there's a lot of hype around him. And I feel like maybe I'm missing out on something. Maybe there's a trick I'm missing, because, yeah, he's gathering a lot of noise. And it'll be interesting to see whether he'll keep it up next year or not. That's the only thing. I just want to, and I hope he, I'm not saying he isn't going to do it. So I was about to say, I hope he proves me wrong. No, don't need to prove nothing, but like, I'm interested to see where Shelly goes from here, because I would like to say he's going to have to diversify his content a little bit if he does. But again, maybe I'm just chatting shit. Maybe he's going to do a madness. I'm not mad at him being in the top 5, but it's tough for him to be in that list above 1 or 2 of above my 4 and 5s. I will say that. But I'm not mad at him being there, and he deserves to be in this discussion for sure. 3rd on the list is someone who I struggled with not putting in my list, and that's The West. The West obviously consisting of Lisi, JR, Snoopy, and Vix. I'm so sorry, Vix. See, this is what I'm saying. I don't do no perfect takes. We're doing this shit off the dome. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, The West, with the amount of talent that they have in their catalog and the amount of under their umbrella, should we say, I found it very hard not to put them in my top 5. very, very hard, but I just couldn't rule out any of the others. Like, I just wish I had a top 6, because they'd be in there. And then I wouldn't even necessarily say that they'd be 6th place, because I'd want to put them higher. I just can't miss out some of the other ones. I don't know. With the West, I think that they're going to just continue making good music. I don't know how much they're going to rise in numbers, but I can definitely see them continuing to just make good music. The only thing that lets it down for me is rap groups of individual rappers never normally last. And that's the only reason why they don't go higher up. I know not all of them are individual. I know like Lord Lance does his own thing. I know Lacey does his own thing. I'm not sure about Vix, JR and Snoopy, but regardless, I'm always looking forward to when the West drops. When the West drops, I'm happy in it. I know it's going to be something good. I just don't know how much they're going to grow compared to some of the other names I've mentioned. That's the only reason they probably didn't squeeze in at 5 for me. But I do find it difficult to not mention them, because the potential is them for them to just do an absolute madness. And I will say, I love what they talk about in their music. I love the message that they put across, and it's definitely music that people need to hear, in my opinion. Number 2 on people's lists was the same as mine. And for the first time today, we've actually matched on something, and that is Skem. I genuinely believe that Skem's gonna do a madness. As I said, I don't think that he's gonna have the biggest following, but I do believe he's gonna have one of the most important ones. I don't need to talk about Skem anymore. He's at number 2. He's exactly where he should be, in my opinion. And so that leaves number 1 on your list, and that goes to Blue Boy. Blue Boy won this category by a lot. By a lot. And it makes me wonder, what am I missing out on? I know he's related with Young and Lips. If we had a Blue Boy Young and Lips project, oh my god, could you imagine? So Blue Boy did Grateful, he did Don't Forget, which are 2 fantastic songs, by the way, that really warmed my fucking heart. Then he also did My Brother, and he did then the feature on Hooligan Hef's Same Road, which, by the way, is a great fucking feature. To my knowledge, they're the 4 things that I've heard from him this year. And they are 4 very, very solid things. Why did I not put him in my top 5? The problem is, I have 10 nominations, and there's... all 10 of them just deserve to be in this discussion. Like, we've not talked about NASA Nova yet. NASA Nova deserves to be in and around there also. Like... Blue Boy being number 1, I don't want to be mad at it, but I don't agree with it. But ultimately, the streets know, innit? You know what's gonna be hot. How is me as an individual gonna know what's gonna be hot? At the end of the day, if you man voted for him by a lot, by the way, there must be something that you know that I don't. Maybe in the streets he has more of a presence than he does online. Maybe that's the case. And if we're looking at it in terms of views, he's definitely on the higher side of this list also. Yeah, now that I'm reading that out, that's number 1. By the way, I'm reading these lists out like just before I click record. Like, I'm recording these all in parts. I'm only looking at your list moments before. All the graphics that you're seeing on this side of the screen are being made in editing. I don't know what any of this shit looks like. And so for me to now read this out loud, I'm kind of just thinking like, yo, that makes a lot of sense. But I can't put him in my list above any of mine. I can't. Not Indigo's 5th on my list. I can't put Blue Boy ahead of Indigo. Could I put him ahead of Cheeky? But then that's dropping my 4th place out. Oh, I don't know, man. This shit's tough. But yeah, congrats, Blue Boy. The people fucking believe in you, innit? So you've got to have something there. And I hope that people are rating him for Blue Boy, not just because, oh, he's Young and Lips' brother. Like, no. Let's make this very clear. Same shit as like Crept and Cadet. That's not Crept's cousin. No, that's Cadet. Rest in peace. You know what I mean? Like, this is Blue Boy. It's not Young and Lips' relative. No, it's Blue Boy. So, Blue Boy, please have an amazing 2021. And so that when I come back to this list, I feel like a fucking idiot for not putting you in my list. But I'm sitting here looking at it now, and I don't know how I fit you. Can we just have a top 10? 10 nominations, top 10. Yes, safe. So now we get into the category that I found most difficult. It is the one that I've changed around the most. it is the one where I'm not even happy with my own list. Because out of the 10 that are nominated, there are 8 that deserve to be in the top 5. But you can't fit 8 into 5. It's like fitting square blocks through round holes. It's not possible, you know? And so when we do this now, there are... The problem I have is I can't even say there are 1 or 2 that have to be in here. There's only one project that I believe stays in here, and that's my number 1. From 2 down to 8, it could be in nearly any order. Because I've done the thing where I've almost done like an elimination thing, right? If we put that project up against that project, who wins? That project. And do it like that. But then I'm not happy with the way it then orders out. Because I'm like, well, no. Because then that's not better than that one if you match it up. And so the problem that I have is that I just don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't know here. So let's go through my list. Because this is one that I find difficult. So here's going to be my number 5, which is already going to sound very off. Hooligan Hef's Living in Sin. Now, some people might think, wait, what? Didn't you say that was like Project of the Year? When I reviewed it, I did. I said that was Project of the Year. It's not Project of the Year. But how does my number 1 a few weeks ago go down to my number 5? All I'll say is this. It's still a great EP. It's a fantastic EP by Hefs, and I love every bit of it. But I don't think it's going to have as much replay value as I thought it was going to. I don't think it's going to have the longevity of some of these other projects. And I think that's the reason it falls off a little bit for me. Through first listen, it probably was the project out of nearly this entire list that got me the most excited when first listening to it. But in terms of replay value, I think that's where it might fall short. But I don't know. I don't know. Because I still really like the EP. The Dimsy feature, I really enjoyed at the time. Since, not as much. Not as much. But then tracks like Same Road and In and Out, I'm appreciating more than before. Even more than before. So... I don't know. We'll have to see. But I couldn't not put it in my top 5. But at the same time, there is a project or 2 that could probably overtake it. I don't know. You've also got to realize we're putting EPs up against albums, in which case that might not be fair. It might not be fair to the album, where an EP is more concise and it's easier to get every track right. Whereas an album, it's like, well, they've got just more content that is more impressive. So I think next year we need to separate EPs and albums, because I think that caused a big issue for me here. Number 4 on my list. Posse Shot PS2. Or Posse Shot 2. This is a project I didn't expect people to vote for. Really, as in terms of the masses, I didn't expect people to vote for. But it has to be in here. If we're talking about just MCing, just being able to go, right, this is my lane and let me stick to it. Posse Shot, man. Like, you can't chat to them, man. Are you nuts? Like, listen to, if you like boom bap, if you like traditional sounding hip hop, Posse Shot is your place to go. Get the money up. Let's talk about Tesla. Like, these man just, I love it. And the reason it goes into my list is because it's kind of the opposite to Hef's project in terms of it has replay value. It has, like, some of the tracks on here are a couple years old now, although I've only found out about Posse Shot more recently. I know other people have had more time to live to this. And I just feel like it's the kind of music that I would happily continue to listen to in 5 years' time. Now, again, maybe time will tell and I'll be wrong there, but I just feel like it just has replay value. It just does. Like, they've got tracks from 2015 that sound timeless that could be released today. I like that. I really like that about Posse Shot. I've gained such a huge respect for them this year in particular. And this project is fucking fantastic. Even if it does have older singles from like 2018, 2019 that are then put on this project, it's still a very good project in my opinion. And I'm gonna say this about everything. It has to go in my top 5. I feel like I could say that about 8 tracks, but yeah, I put Posse Shot at 4th. Number 3 on the list, which was number 1, then was number 2, then was somewhere like 5th or 6th, then back up to 3. Lisi's Average Man. I'm still stuck because part of me wants to put this second. And when I get to my second place, we're going to talk about that and how it can interchange. Lisi's Average Man is just such... It is exactly what I wanted Lisi to deliver. It's exactly what I wanted him to do. Like, Concrete Jungle is such an amazing way to open up the album. I love tracks like Hard Yakka that is just about hustle and grafting. I like Average Man, the title of this EP. He's just like, look, I'm just a normal guy from Goodna. I'm just a normal guy that's just trying to do my thing, innit? I love that. I absolutely love that. I love to give it back, showing that gratitude for his parents. It has everything. This EP has a bit of everything that I wanted to hear from Lisi, and he does it in a way that each track is diverse from one another, but still in the same lane. It's like 7 different cars on the same track. Or the same car on 7 different tracks. But regardless, it's the kind of project I will put up on my wall at some point, I think, because I really enjoy it. I just want to spend more time with it and see if I feel the same way in the future. But it's definitely one that I'd consider doing so because it's fucking fantastic. Number 2 on my list is Chillin' It's Full Circle. Now, let's have a discussion about this because this might be the most controversial pick for 2 reasons. 1, I've picked Full Circle as a nominee over the Octagon, and some people question that. Speaking to people engaging by public response, Full Circle seems to be slightly more popular than the Octagon. That's the reason why I picked Full Circle. Even though I know Octagon is the album that he spent more time on, and Full Circle is kind of just a mixtape, the Full Circle felt just that ever so slightly bit more genuine, and I like that more because of it. But then I did go back and listen to the Octagon, and it was like, oh shit, man, I need to pick this. And then part of me, if I was picking my nominations, I would have put both of these projects in. I would have put them both in separately because they deserve to be there. So when I put Chillin' It's Full Circle at second, I know it's cheating, but I kind of put / the Octagon. I know that's cheating, but yeah, Full Circle. I'm going to try and only focus on Full Circle. Full Circle is just chilling it, being genuine chilling it. It doesn't feel like he's catering to anything else, which in a couple of tracks on the Octagon is what I felt like. I felt like he was catering to something else in 1 or 2 points. Within saying that, Chill understands his audience, I think. I think he understands what his audience wants to see from him. And I think he understands that his audience may involve different people from different walks of life. Some people are going to like the party and let's smoke weed and bang bad bitches shit. Others are going to like the more introspective side, which is what I enjoy more of. I feel like Chill just knows how to please. You know how they say you can't please everyone? I feel like Chill knows how to please most people. Like, now, Chill's Full Circle almost didn't make this list at one point. But when I was listening through, I just couldn't help but just have this extra level of excitement within me. And that's the reason why. I can't physically explain why it's better than some of these other projects, but it feels better than some of the other ones. That's the only way I can describe it. And I know that's wrong, and that's why it's controversial, because if I was to write out all the pros and cons on paper, it's not in my top 5. But how it makes me feel is different. It's different. And so it goes second place for me. And it goes second place to probably the only choice that was in my top 5 and hasn't changed from the number 1 spot. That's JK47's Made for This. Now, JK's 47 Made for This has already won awards. He's already been nominated. He's already won awards. He's already Triple J's won Hottest 100. All of this, like, he's been in all of it. But if we're talking about a project that not only sounds amazing, but also has something to say, you know? Like, JK really had something to say here. Now, JK is a young man. I think he's the same age as me. I think he's like 22, 23. JK is showing a level of maturity and is showing a level of knowledge that is just beyond his peers. Just beyond most people in the scene. You know, in this project, he talks about the struggles of being indigenous and talks about the hurdles and the obstacles he's faced growing up and that he's seen his people growing up with. Like, this is the only project in this list that is bigger than music, in my opinion. Like, you look at Lucy's Average Man, that follows veins of it in terms of like, look, I'm speaking on behalf of my people in my area. I'm just an average man like the rest of you. But I feel like JK takes it to an extra level that crosses that line of playing it safe. And I think that's why I respect it, because he's not trying to make radio bangers. He's not trying to make music that's gonna reach Spotify playlists. He's making music because that's his way of communicating what he feels. And even then, when he does a track like Guess Again, where he does more lyrically flex, like, as a rapper, as an MC, he is a better rapper than half of the people in this list, from a technical standpoint at the very least. And I know it's not one of the more popular artist. He's probably the least recognized artist on this list, perhaps along with like Posse Shot and Greeley respectively. So respectively, because they are known by a wide audience. But if we're looking at like today's average casual fan of the scene, they're gonna know, more people are gonna know about 1-4 than they are JK, again respectively. And I feel like that's what, even more so why I feel obliged to almost put this top of the list, because it's like, people need to hear this shit. Now, I can already hear people screaming at me. How did 1-4's project not make it? How did Husky's project not make it? How did Rops's? How did Greeley's? Because Greeley's project should have made my list. When we're talking about one of the 8, Greeley's was there. I don't know how Greeley's didn't make my list. I don't know how 1-4's didn't make my list. I don't know how Husky's. Which, by the way, all 3 of the ones I've just mentioned were in my list. And they're now no longer there. I don't know how I fit them in. For example, let's take Husky's Recalled EP. Recalled, I think the reason that hasn't made it is because I've only listened to it like a week or 2 ago. Which means that I haven't spent enough time with this project. And I just don't know how it's going to hold up over time. It might get better with time. And if so, I'm going to kick myself watching back this video in a year's time. Maybe even longer. But like, I just don't know how I include it over. I know how I can include, like, for example, if I put it up against Hef's EP, it probably goes above Hef's. But I can't miss out Living in Sin. I can't miss it out. So I have to put it in. And this is the problem that I have. If I put against all odds against Posse Shot's PS2, if we're talking about cultural relevance and impact, it's 10 times higher. But I can't miss out Posse Shot's project either, so it just goes above. Does that make sense? Like, I've really struggled making my list. And again, if I was playing it safe, it would have been easier to put Huskies instead of Posse Shots, and it would have been easier to put 1-4s instead of JK-47s. It would have been easier. That would have been the safer thing to do, and I know everyone would have just been like, yeah. But again, I've made my list before looking at your list, and I think my list is just what I've picked today. It's just what feels right in my heart today. Because this morning when I woke up, I changed something round. But if I was to do this in a week's time, it will probably be a different list. So take the order in which they're in with a pinch of salt. Just understand that I love that there has been so many good projects to come out of Australia this year, and we just have to congratulate these artists. So let's get into your list. Your list as a group makes a lot of sense for the most part, and I'm not angry at it because it's not far off of what my list looked like at one point. And number 5, we've got Chillin' It's Full Circle. We're going to speed through this. Number 4, Huskies Record. Number 3, Hooligan Hefts Living in Sin. Number 2 is Lisi Average Man. And number 1 is 1-4 Against All Odds. I get how 1-4 have made the top spot. I get it. Because it will go down as a classic. It will go down as an important piece of music in Aussie history. But I just can't. The only thing that... I don't want to discredit any of the 5 that have made that list. But you have to put JK's in there. You have to. But who do you swap it out for? Who? Who do you swap it out for? I just don't know how I haven't put 1-4s Against All Odds in my thing. I don't know how I haven't put Huskies. Oh man. This is what I'm saying. This is just giving me a headache now because I don't know what... Like, please, if you're going to give me a blight for any of the categories, right? We're going to talk about Acts of the Year next, but when we look at all 6 categories, can this be the one where you just give me a break? Because I don't know what to do. Can we just applaud everyone? Like, I've said this before, innit? I love a list, but sometimes I don't think we need to do lists. Sometimes I think we just need to applaud a group of people. And I think this is the one time where I'm going to pull that card and just say, can we just applaud every single nomination in this list? Which, by the way, there were projects that didn't even make our nomination list that deserve to be here. Honorable mentions to Forte, Gravy Baby, Triple One, Kid Laroi again if he was going to be in the mix. Like, if Kid Laroi's album was in this mix, this list is fucked. This list is fucked. Where do we... Oh, man. Greasy's EP, Shook's album. Like, there are... How do we... There's not enough space. Like, what do we do? Yeah, this is the one where I want to see a lot of discussion, because I'd love to see what people think as an individual. Like, what are your individual top 5 lists? I know people voted for 3 at a time, but if you had like a list of 5 and you had to put it in order, let me know what you would put it as, because I honestly believe that if you was to ask me this question next week, I would nearly have a completely different 5. The only thing I think stays where it is JK's made for this. Otherwise, Chill, Lisi, Posse Shot, and Hefts, you could easily swap out. And now we get to Act of the Year. Oh, this wasn't as bad to make as the best projects of the year list, but again, I still struggled. And I've just looked at the votes that you guys have put in, and when I get to your list, I'll reveal some of the numbers in it, because wow, I've been recording for nearly 3 hours now. I want to get through this list, but all right. Act of the Year. Number 5, Husky. Husky made my list in the end because he's had legal issues. He's been in and out of prison. And the man has still been more relevant than 95% of everybody else. He has managed to go through so much personal shit this year, from my understanding, and still create some of the best music and have some of the coldest features we've heard this year. I can't rub him out. Have you heard him on Russell Coit? Are you nuts? So then the 10 Toes on the Road feature, to then the Record EP, of course, which we've just discussed. But how do you navigate this list without mentioning him? Number 4 on the list is Lisi. Now, Lisi was number 4 on my hottest prospect list last year, I believe. I believe he was number 4. He was someone who I expected to do big things, but not to the level he's doing it now. Not to like everything I touch turns into millions. Every feature he's done has been cold. As well as being part of the West, he's carried his own independent brand. he has created one of the best projects of the year. Like, he played everything correctly this year, in my opinion. And to top it all off, I agree with the direction he's going in. He's talking about, like, growing up from nothing and still making something of yourself. And I really heavily resonate with that story. Number 3 on my list, Hooligan Hefs. Hefs is just... Hefs is doing Hefs things. Again, another example of everything I touch turns to millions. I've created one of the best projects this year, EPs this year. Every feature I have or every feature I'm on smashes it. He's done like things like the Rover remix that are just fucking incredible. And then to do it in not only one genre, but to do like the club dance music, to then do the rap shit, to then do the drill shit, and to just kind of dominate in each area is incredible. You can't talk about specific subgenres in Australia without mentioning Hefs being in the top of each of those different corners. Number 2 on my list will be the only controversial one, and that's Nerve. Nerve hasn't done the numbers as half of this list, but Nerve's talent has to shine. Now, do you remember earlier when I said about he was at the top of your list for being producer of the year? I kind of wish it was reserved for this. I wish he was more highly ranked and respected in this list here. Because if we're talking, him as a producer is cold, him as an MC is cold. And then to do that together, how many people in this list produce for themselves and be one of the best producers in the country, and then spit, obviously, and write their own lyrics and do all of that, and be one of the best MCs in the country, on top of just being so quintessentially himself. The definition of Nerve is Nerve. Nerve is doing Nerve things. Like, he's not trying to be anything else. And I've talked about this so much before, and I don't need to go on a big long rant about it, but that's what Nerve's doing. Nerve is literally just doing what he wants, and it is some of the best shit we have heard. Other people do marketing campaigns and strategies to figure out what works best in public opinion. Nerve is just doing what he wants, and it just happens to work. So if we look at what it means to be an artist and what most people's answer will be, which is, I just love the music, etc., etc. Nerve is doing that. Nerve is doing exactly what everybody else says about where their morals lie. Like, it's just second nature for him. He's not trying. And if he is trying, it needs to be fucking recognized. And then my number 1 is, you've guessed it, 1-4. Like, who else? Who else can go above them? And I think they're going to continue to do this for another couple of years, I'll be honest. And just because they got it last year doesn't mean I can't give it to them this year again. Tell me who has had a more successful year than 1-4. Now, maybe next year in 2021, they'll go a little bit more quiet. Maybe because they've had such a heavy and hectic run this year, but knowing this lot, knowing the team they've got around them, they ain't stopping for nothing. They're going to continue. I hope they do more features. I've seen a few they've put on for some people in their area this year, you know, between B-Wise and Capulet and SVNO, you know, so that's, or 7-0, sorry. So they've, you know, they've put, not only have they put on themselves, but they're putting on other artists as well. You can't have a discussion about Australia without 1-4. The same way you couldn't talk about Aussie Gram without Fracture. The same way you couldn't talk about Aussie R&B without talking about Young and Lips. It's the same way you can't talk about, like, you can't talk about Aussie reactions without mentioning me. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna be egotistical for a moment. You can't talk about Australia. Fuck any subcategory, Australia, without mentioning 1-4. Even if they're not your number 1, 1-4. From the older heads down to the newest people, they always mention 1-4. 1-4 are draking Australia. They are Skeptoring Australia. They're not even words, but that's what we're going to do. And so I can look at Skepta and go, they're 1-4 and he's 1-4 in the UK. Drake is 1-4 in America and Canada. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to talk anymore. It's done. And they had to top the list for something. Gosh, like they could pretty much top everything in everything that I've nominated them for. But I think if they were to pick one, it'd have to be just for being the act of the year, for just being the group of the year. And now look at your list. This list, I'm only going to have one talking point, really. The rest kind of makes sense. Chilling it at number 5. Makes sense. I'm not mad at it. Husky at number 4. Again, looks about right. Sounds about right. Not mad at it. Number 3 is HP Boys. Now, let's have a discussion about HP Boys, because it's going to seem like I've disrespected them. I've not put their EP in Project of the Year, which was tough for me. Was very, very tough for me. But I just couldn't ignore any of the other projects that were in the list. I just couldn't. And that's tough. That is extremely tough, because they created a really good EP, in my opinion. They've obviously had the Demon Time remix. They've had standout singles. HP Boys are just doing HP Boy things. I just feel like they're on the same playing field as they were last year, and that's the only reason that I haven't put them in my top 5 list. I feel like everyone I've put in my list has grown. I feel like HP Boys are just kind of hovering where they are, which there's nothing wrong with that, because they are still hovering at one of the top spots in the whole fucking country. The only reason I didn't put them in that year is because I didn't see the growth that I believe they would have had. But with all due respect, man, they're still smashing it. They're still doing their thing. They're still at the top of their game, and I only expect them to stay at the top. Whether they grow, whether they fall off slightly, I expect them to stay at the top for another long while. Number 2 on the list is Lisi, and again, I'm not mad at him being number 2. It makes sense for him to be number 2 in the people's eyes, for the amount that he's grown, for the amount that he's done, for the amount that he's put on for his area. I'm not mad at him being number 2, and then 1-4 being top of your list. That like, if I was to put my house on anything, it was just that 1-4 was going to be top of the list for you lot, and they were at top of the list by a long fucking country mile. Here's an interesting fact for you. Hef's, Chilling It, and Husky. So Hef's missing out on your list. Hef's, Chill, and Husky were only 10 votes within each other. So Hef's realistically should be joint like 5th, let's say. Or they should all be joint 4th, and then we can sneak another one in there. Because, yeah, they are all very close with each other. And then, obviously, HP Boys were a little bit above them. Lisi was quite a jump above HP Boys. And then 1-4 was just skyrocketed beyond even Lisi. Like, that was just ridiculous. But, yeah, only 10 votes within each other. Out of 2,400, by the way, that was really close for that 4th and 5th spot. A couple people we haven't talked about. Young and Lips. Young and Lips nearly made my list again for just smashing it this year, growing, for how he's marketed himself. Just Young and Lips has done everything right. Like, Young and Lips has had a fantastic year. Cursor, we didn't really talk about Cursor on the on the album list either. Cursor's album was a good album. I don't think it's his best album yet. I definitely feel like we can hear his progression, and we can hear the development in his sound, and as he's gotten older and as he's matured, you know, just obviously it's not really for me to speak on. For the people who have followed him his entire career will better speak on it. But Cursor doing Cursor things, and we're looking forward to his 10th album that should be coming next year. Sydney Young'uns, I know they are they won't like to hear this, they are overshadowed by 1-4, but you know, I hope they continue to stay active. I hope they continue to make music, because they are, you know, they have the potential to really do excel. I just think they've just got to unlock something, and I don't know what that something is yet. So that's our 6 categories. Let me know if there was any howlers in here. Like, what's the biggest howler? What's the biggest snub? What's the biggest, how the fuck have they missed out in this category? And what's the one that you most agree with? Like, yep, it could never change. No one can tell me otherwise. This is meant to be fun. This is meant to be opinion-based. This is not official. Just because someone was first in the list does not outright mean they are the best. It just means through public opinion, whether that be mine or other people in Australia and New Zealand and worldwide. That's just what people think. Hey, and it's just kind of a way to celebrate everything that is here this year, you know? I said this in the project list, like, and as much as we love a top 5 list, a top 10 list, who's number 1? Like, as much as we love that shit, we're mainly here to celebrate all the hard work and quality work that we've seen this year. You know, we're here to celebrate, and we're here to congratulate all of the people that have absolutely smashed it this year with content. In a year that's been very difficult and very challenging for many. from COVID down to personal struggles, you know, people have still managed to push and carry a culture forward. And I think that's fucking beautiful. And there are so many people that wasn't a part of these discussions that still contributed to the culture itself. Wombat, Capulet, Spanion, Shook, JC, Pistol Pete and Enzo, Kobe D, Lord Lance, Menace, Complete, I don't know if I'm saying names twice, Horror Show, Brothers, Kid Leroy, Day One. Like, there are so many people. There are so many people that I could name that are just a part of this, and not just artists. We're talking about the producers, we're talking about the videographers, we're talking about the managers, we're talking about maybe even the labels. Labels isn't, people think that label is a bad thing. No, being a part of a label isn't always a bad thing. Yes, some people are part of shitty deals, doesn't mean everything is, you know. And then most importantly, you lot, like as fans and as supporters of the scene, innit? Like, you've done your bit, commenting, discussing, sharing, supporting these artists. Like, shout out to everyone who bought a piece of merch from an artist. Shout out to everyone who's, when an artist has put on their first show since lockdown, have gone to it. Shout out to all the people that were tuning in online or just sharing their music or bumping up their streams. Like, shout out to all you, man, that were trying to carry your favorite artists through financially as well difficult times. Shout out to everyone that goes on different reaction channels and goes react to this and and not just ones like me that do Aussie shit. Shout out to the ones who go and do that for the Americans, for the Brits, for the people worldwide. Thank you to the people who, like my origin story to this all, got a random comment saying listen to Aussie grime or Aussie drill or Aussie rap and go, yo, what's this? And then they drag a whole new audience over. Shout out to the people that are going and doing that, and I want you, man, to continue to do that. Go and just share this shit with the world, because that is your job as a fan to do. Like, yeah, the artist can make the music, but it's your job to go and get that word out, in my opinion. So go and do it. So can we just take a moment to just appreciate every bit of good music we've enjoyed, appreciate every bit of progression, every bit of fatherhood, every bit of family, every bit of friend, every bit of love, every bit of talent, every single bar and punchline that we have loved, every video that is memorable, every project that has helped us. Like, we've needed this shit. It's been a tough year for people, and these artists and these people that are in this industry have helped carry people through shit. So let's help carry those people who create that content back. You know what I'm saying? Like, this, all of this is just me being a fan of the music. Like, I know people see me as the guy or see me as the Don, whatever you want to say. Like, ultimately, it just comes from a place of loving this shit, and it's just my thank you back to everyone else. So yeah, man, feel free to have these discussions. Feel free to share this shit. And yeah, don't have a go at me if I didn't pick your favorite thing. Like, I'm so sorry. And if your name wasn't mentioned in this discussion, just please don't take it as disrespect, man. There's just so much going on. There's just, I've also been recording for 3.5 hours. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I started at 11. Like, just bear with me. But no, ultimately, just thank you for everything. Like, thank you, innit? And so yeah, until next year when we do the same thing again, maybe slightly differently, we just continue to celebrate hip-hop. And yeah, that's all we can do. Love for the love, people. And yeah, catch you, man, later.